Greetings and welcome to the Carbonite demonstration of Carbonite Recover. In this short demo, we're going to talk to you about Carbonite Recover's disaster recovery as a service platform and how you can use that to protect your machines into the cloud and provide very low RPO and RTO for those most critical systems that need to be up and running as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and get started. With Carbonite Recover, it's all managed through the web. So go to the Carbonite Recover site and log in with the credentials that you have been provided. And once you log in, the first thing you're presented with is the dashboard, as you can see here. You can see very quickly if you have any issues are going on, warnings, errors, how many machines you've protected and how many machines you've recovered. You can see how many environments you have and how many servers you have or server groups that you have that are protected. You can also go to the right hand side and you can click on here and you can get your subscription usage, so you can see how much data is being used and other information such as that. You can also go and get your user preferences. We have a knowledge base and the user's guide all available from here. But in order to set up any protections, the first thing we have to do is set up our environments. There are a few environments here, and what these environments are for is for the automatic discovery of the production network. So what I can do here is I can go to add and we can give an environment name, which could be whatever makes sense for you. And then of course we have the environment type. We have custom, where you can give us an IP address. We can find all the machines in a Hyper-V environment, vCloud Director, or vSphere environment, just to make that discovery a lot easier. We can see I have a few environments already set up. One for the Carbonite cloud. We have a custom environment here. Again, this is for individual IP addresses, and I have a Hyper-V and a vSphere environment. When you have any of these environments, when you click on them, you can also make sure you specify a worker. Workers are really machines in the environment that receive and execute tasks by communicating with the Recover backend infrastructure. So we always want to specify one for each of our environments. Once we have our environment set up, now we need to go ahead and find our servers. So we simply click on the servers section here, and I've done that. And we can see I already have a couple servers that are already protected. And then, of course, I can add more servers here. When I add more servers, I simply select the environment that I'm going to discover from, and then I go ahead and click Next. Now, the nice part about here is going to find all the servers in this vSphere environment, but I'm not protecting all of them right now. I'm just going to protect a couple of them. So what I can do over here is I can now filter. As I type in anything, I automatically get a little bit of information pulled down, and the results are filtered out, and I can quickly select just a couple of them and say Next. Now, of course, these are the two servers I'm looking to add here, and it's going to ask for credentials because when it adds in those servers, it wants to talk to the operating system and get information about it. So we need to provide it local credentials. Once you add in those local credentials, click Finish. It takes me back to the servers page, and now I have those two servers. It's talking to those two servers, getting all the information about them, and then at this point, I can go ahead and start my protection. Now, I added two servers here, but you could be adding dozens or hundreds of servers at this point if you'd like. If I wanted to create a job from here, I can of course do that. I can select these two machines and I can say protect if I wanted to. I can also refresh, update my credentials, or remove them. And then I can also go directly to jobs, and we can see I already have a job here called Alpha that's protecting one server, and I can see statistics about that, but I can also add another job here, which is the same as clicking Protect before. Once you click Add Job, now it's going to say, okay, what servers do you want to add here? And it's going to show me all the servers that were in that previous pane that aren't a target or are currently protected. So I'm going to go ahead and select these two machines, and when I select these two machines, it selects all the disks. I cannot deselect the system volume, but I'll go ahead and select two machines at one time, and I'll click Next. It says, what about a new job grouping? So this way I can say these two machines are grouped together. That way I could put in a little bit of orchestration. So I'll call this group Bravo. And today I'm just protecting to our own cloud version. Now I can of course set a storage policy, and I'll go ahead and do that. And then of course, because our Carbonite cloud is based off of vCloud Director, I can also pick a VDC. What Windows appliance? This is a machine that'll basically the disks will be connected to, and it's going to go ahead and mirror and replicate to that. I'll go ahead and select an appliance that's already been deployed. And of course, I have advanced options where I can schedule snapshots. I can say start at this day or this time and repeat every 1 day or 1 hour or 1 week, something like that. That way I can protect myself against corruption and ransomware. I can also limit the bandwidth to a certain megabit per second. That way I don't impact production or impact networking in any way. And then, of course, I can also compress the data as well. Very useful when you're going across the WAN. I'm going to go ahead and schedule some snapshots here and go ahead and specify that for every hour. Now I get to the configuration part here, and what it's talking about for each of these machines is what it's going to be called in this new environment. By default, it's the name of the server, space replica. I can also create a new container for it, a new VM, and it will automatically call this the replica container. The size, I can go ahead and specify default sizes, or I can also customize it. By default, we are going to match what it is. So we see it has one socket with one core per socket, but I could change that if I wanted to. That way I can go up or down as needed. I can see the storage and where it's going to put that storage, what machine it's putting that on, and the size of the disk. I can also increase that, go up or down if necessary. And we can also see the network information. By default, it's going to pull from the pool that's in that target cloud environment, but of course I can edit that, and I can specify what network it goes on, the adapter type, and the IP address if I wanted to specify that manually. If I scroll all the way back up to the top, notice this was just for that server. I can also do the same options for the next one. Now I get to the orchestration section. Now there's two parts to the orchestration section, failover and restore. So I can add in failover plans, a pre-failover script to do whatever actions that I want it to do before the actual failover occurs. I can also specify the boot order. Maybe server A needs to come up beforehand and then server B comes up afterwards, or maybe vice versa. Let's say server B is my backend server. Then I would set it up this way, and that way it will do it in that order. And then, of course, I have a post failover script as well to do any actions after the failover has occurred. I go next, and now it looks very similar, but now this is my restore plan detail. So I can put in restore scripts, take these actions beforehand, and take these actions afterwards. The failback order will always match what the failover order was. It will just do it in reverse. Once I say next, now I get to the verification. It's going to make sure that everything is set and good to go for our environment, and then I can go ahead and say finish and create my job. Everything's in a good state, so let's say finish. So it's preparing the job right now, so I can go ahead and see a little bit more about that right here. I can go into actions. I can stop, pause, delete, whatever I want to, or I could take actions on an entire group if I wanted to as well. Let's look at that alpha group for a second. We can see here's actions. I could take a snapshot if I wanted to. I could failover, stop, pause, or delete. Let's go ahead and take a snapshot of that one, and a snapshot's being taken. What we're going to do now is we're going to wait for Bravo to complete its protection. It's going to go ahead and install if necessary, put a license on there, start the mirroring and replication process, get everything in sync. And again, we're not impacting production at any time. There's no server reboots. There's no impact to production. Everybody is staying up and running the entire time we're doing this. But we're going to go ahead and allow this to complete. And once that happens, we're going to go ahead and do a failover and see how that whole process works. And we're back. The machines have installed Carbonite availability. They have established their connection, created the job, and has done all the mirroring and replication, and is continuously replicating the data in real time to keep the production server and the destination disks in sync. We can look at these now. If I go over here, I can go to actions, and now I can do the snapshot. I can also do the failover. I can also do that individually as well if I wanted to take a snapshot for a particular machine or fail over. However you want to manage the group or the individual servers is up to you. If we click on the group name, we get in here and we can actually see the group statistics, and we can see this is for server A. We can see that it created the job, it installed the agent, it placed the licenses on there, configured the job, created everything, and then started the job. And then, of course, any group snapshots that it has taken as well. It's done all of those, and you can see all that information right here. If I scroll down, we can actually see the snapshots that have been taken. I can manage those snapshots as well, and I can go ahead and delete those. That way, if there's a lot of snapshots taking up a lot of space, you can go ahead and do some snapshot management as well. So let's go ahead and fail over. But before we do, I want to go ahead and connect remotely to the source machine. We're going to modify some data, and then we're going to go ahead and do the failover, and then we're going to see it functioning at the other end. So I've remote desktop into the production server. This is the B server. So what we're going to do before we do the failover is I'm going to quickly go in here and make some data changes. I created a new folder here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste the data here that I want to, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that a couple times just to generate some data change. So let's go ahead and copy this one more time and paste, and then we'll do it one more time. Now this, of course, because of the real-time byte level replication, is being sent to the cloud in real time, and so that when we fail over, we're going to have all of that data available to us. And let me go ahead and do that last copy one more time. All right, so that's going. I'm going to go ahead and get out of this remote session, and now we're ready to go back to our job, and we're going to go ahead and fail over this group. Now, click Actions and Fail Over. And what we're going to see, again, before you do it, you can, of course, modify this information, change information about the replica, because it's going to go ahead and create this information. I don't need to change anything. Now, the failover type, we can fail over using live data, fail over to a snapshot, or perform a test failover. When we do the perform a test failover, really it keeps the production environment running. If I do a live failover, it just basically shuts down the production environment. In this situation, we're going to go ahead and do a live failover. And of course, I can edit the network as well. Now it gets me to the orchestration, and we can see we had the failover plan that, of course, is going to go ahead and do A first and then B, and then we're going to go ahead and do the failover as well. So, failover, and now we're doing the failover progress. Remember, our failover plan said do A first and then do B. So it's shutting down A, it's going to do the processing for A is going to come up, and then it's going to go ahead and do the same thing for B. We can go ahead and open up this job, and we can see a little bit more information, how it's doing the failover, and we can see a little bit more information about that. Or we can also click on the group name, and we can get more information here as well about what's happening. So let's let this go for a few minutes, and we'll come back when both A and B are done, and then we're going to go ahead and log in and see the changes that occurred when we modified that data right before we failed over. Okay, we're back. The failover is complete. It took just a few minutes to get all of that done. Let's go ahead and click in here, and we can again get more detailed information. So if I'm looking at server A, we can see all the actions that it took as far as it canceled the snapshots, and it went ahead and configured all the machines and the disks and connected everything and powered it on. And then it did the same thing. After that one was complete, it did the same thing for B. Actually, a lot of this was done in tandem, except for the power on component. That was done first on A and then on B. Now if I want to go ahead and manage the server again, now I can go over my servers here, and now we can see that I have the B replica and the A replica available. I see the IP address, so I can go ahead and connect to that machine as I did before. And of course, if I try to connect to the old IP address, it won't work because that machine is offline, because one of the things it did was power it off. Let me go to the new machine now. I'll go ahead and log in with the username password that is for this machine. We're going to go ahead and log in. We're going to get the desktop, and we're going to see that new folder that I created, all the data there, and the machine is up and running, and everything is as it was before. And like I said, just a few minutes. All right, I opened up the new folder, and we can see the data that I put in here and the additional copies that I did because of that real-time byte level replication. It was already protected in the cloud when I did the failover. At this point, this is done. We can go back to our jobs if we wanted to, and we can now fail back. We can go ahead and, if we want to go ahead and just delete the job, but of course, we can restore that connection, send the data back to where it was, and then of course, get back into a production environment once our disaster is over. This concludes the Carbonite Recover demonstration. To learn more and to stay informed, please give us a call or visit us at carbonite.com. I'd like to thank you for your time and have a great day.